Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have Jasmine Maietta here with us. And actually, I did say with my co-host, Michael Keene, but today is actually my first solo interview ever because Michael kind of had a situation pop up and he's not going to be able to make it. But I am pumped to be able to have a whole interview just with me and Jasmine, because I have known Jasmine for quite a while now, and we were just talking a little bit before this about how we've had a lot of run-ins, and Jasmine's kind of everywhere doing everything all at once. So we definitely have a lot to talk about. But Jasmine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And I think this took us 9 months to schedule. So it's a long time coming.
I think this might have been the most, the longest interview to schedule for sure. It's been a while, but I'm excited that it's finally happening. For those of you who don't know Jasmine, she's the founder of Round21, which we're going to dive into, one of the co-founders of NFTBA, which we've talked about before on the pod. And also she was on Shark Tank for Round21 as well. So maybe you've seen her on TV. I don't know.
I hope not.
I hope not. Yeah. Okay. We'll get into all that. We have to start with your NFT journey on how you first got into Web3.
Yeah, well, rewind to 2020. I was at Peloton leading marketing, and COVID hit, and I had this idea of Round21, a startup that would operate at the intersection of art and sport. And as soon as I left Peloton, and literally day one of being a solo entrepreneur, this thing called Clubhouse was on everyone's phone. And so I casually, downloaded it and immediately was like, wait, what are all these rooms where artists are so excited to own their destiny, right? So I got consumed literally by listening to so many voices now we call friends talk about how this new technology was going to help them, be less burdened by gatekeepers and more empowered. And then boom, this new project in October of 2020, NBA Top Shot, hits the market. So I'm like, well, Round21, regardless of what we become, is going to operate at the intersection of art and sport. Artists keep talking about empowerment. NBA has just made a disproportionate investment in NFTs with this Dapper Labs, whatever it's going to be. I just, at that time, none of us really knew. And I was like, well, what a great opportunity to have some sort of first mover advantage, not held back by, being a business for many, many years, just starting with this new technology as a part of what we do. And that really hooked us, at least, originally, as why we were going to be a part of it, just because it felt like, why wouldn't we start where it felt like modern sports brands and artists were starting from?
That's very interesting. I also did not know that you kind of got into Top Shot at the same time as me, October 2020.
Well, I got a text from my friend who worked at the Lakers and was like, hey, not sure if you know that this thing, exists. So I definitely have packs from October.
Wow.
I was like, $12. I don't know what this is, but I'll try,
That's amazing. So did you ever really go hard into like collecting, or you just kind of dabbled a little bit and then started with Round21 and all that?
I think every NFT crypto second I've spent has been to serve Round21, actually.
Really?
It's never really been to be a whale or a collector or have this like personal tether to these digital tokens. It's always been like, how can we, one, be the most supportive and for the artist's brand that ever was, which is why we wanted to be a part of, this new decentralized economy. And then two, find ways to signal that Round21 is different than any other sports brand you've known. But it's never been a personal motivation. Actually, it's always been for Round21.
Wow. I love that. So I had read on your site that you've been in marketing for 20 years, which is incredible. And you were saying that you worked at Peloton right before kind of diving off and, starting your own journey. What compelled you to kind of leave, I guess, the corporate world and start your own journey as an entrepreneur?
Well, I was an entrepreneur before I ever tucked my shirt in. Actually, I played pro basketball and then was a coach. So coaching is entrepreneurship. Wow. It's, you've got these teammates or, this group of people who you call your team and you need to put them in positions to succeed. But really, you're the buck stops with you, right, as the coach. But when I started my journey in the corporate world, it was at Reebok, which had just been acquired by Adidas. So you can't get more bureaucratic than that. Then Hasbro, which has some brands that are like 100 years old. Monopoly's more than 80 years old. And I ran Monopoly for 4 years.
Oh, dare.
And then UnderArmour, which when I joined was a public company. So these big, heavy, mature, established companies that are slower than culture, that are well-funded, so it can do really great things, but that are tied, in my opinion, to a generation before. And I really wanted to be a part of creating with the generation that is. And so those, it's a great foundation, but being in a mature corporate environment was never my end goal. Both of my parents are very entrepreneurial. They're very, they have a high capacity for work and just very productive. And going to Peloton showed me how fast business can move. I was there from 2018 to 2020 and how technology can scale ideas. And that's when I was like, okay, now I have really the full scope of what it could mean to start a new brand with some experience, and everything kind of has happened since then.
Geez. Okay. So, wow, there's a lot there that I'm very curious about. But first, you're a professional basketball player. And I mean, that makes sense why Round21, it's centered around you guys just came out with a Keith Haring basketball collab. And, you've done a lot of other cool basketball collabs. The Bored Ape Yacht Club one, I was that the first basketball you guys came out with? No? Oh, okay.
We had done artist drops actually before then, but it was the most successful in 2021 by far.
Okay.
Units and sales. It was great.
Right. And my sister has 2 of those actually.
we limited it to 2. Which I think,
that's right.
But that's good. That's it helped everybody, especially then, feel like they really coveted something that was a keepsake.
Yeah. Yeah, that was dope. Okay, so back to the pro basketball. So where did you play?
I played in Spain. Back then, believe it or not, I wrapped VHS tapes with paper and a rubber band and sent them to teams that Google existed in 97 and 98. Sent them to teams and got 2 callbacks, one from Denmark and one from Spain. And I was like, all right, I'll go to Spain.
So you lived by yourself in Spain, for a few years just playing pro?
Yeah, they actually take care of you. So you live with somebody from the team, you get, meals supported, you practice 3 times a day. So I did burn out. I actually didn't play many years. I played 1 season and was like, this was a great experience. Now, what am I going to do next? Just because it was a lot. And I miss my family, to be honest. But Spain was amazing. And it gave me an incredible appreciation today for the WNBA, the WNBA players who are trying to build this new league and new expectation of the women's game here, because they still do have to travel overseas to make money in between, to make ends meet for many of them. And I know how grueling that is. So it gives me a bit more empathy when we work with the WNBA because of that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I remember learning about that and what? They don't make enough to be able to just live? They have to go overseas and play just to, continue to make enough money to kind of sustain their lifestyle. Yeah, that's pretty wild. But WNBA, Top Shot really got me back into WNBA because when I was a kid, I would go because the library would do this thing where if you read enough books, you'd get free tickets to the WNBA. So I would always go to games. And then I kind of stopped following it. And when Top Shot came out with WNBA Moments, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm all over this. And I got back into it. And they're just awesome to watch. Okay, we got to get into Shark Tank a bit and also, were you I don't know, I guess I don't really watch TV and I don't really watch Shark Tank, but I did see your clip on YouTube, I think. Were you one of the first NFT people to go on Shark Tank?
I definitely know I was the first ever Web3 startup to be on
Wow.
Shark Tank. And I don't know if I've been the only one, but we taped in September of 21. It aired later, but and so back then, that was that was at the height, and Cuban, Kevin O'Leary at the time, and even now have publicly made, statements about Web3. So it was uncharted territory. I do think that that's one of the reasons that I got the opportunity, because it was so different than, another muffin company. But it was the first one.
So what was, I guess, the process like from up until you are there pitching the Sharks like on TV? Like, what does that process look like? Are there a bunch of hurdles, before you get to that point? Are there a million auditions you have to go through? I'm very curious on like the behind the scenes of that.
Yeah. So personally, because of COVID, I was like, well, I'm sitting around, I'm trying to start a company. Everything else is shut down. So I might as well apply to Shark Tank. So I'm sure things are different now, but I applied and then it went silent. Like you don't really get any response, or at least I didn't. And then a number of months later, the producer calls and says, we've looked at your resume, but it's basically a whittled down process that is quite rigorous. It's apply, audition, apply, video, apply, audition, scripting, audition. The producers are excellent at making sure that the contestants, or however you would want to call the founders, are very prepared. And it is a privilege to be finally brought in to record, but recording doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get on the air.
Right.
So once I was asked to come to, the set and record it, it was definitely a milestone, because at that point, then it's all in the producer's hands.
So you didn't know if you're going to be on TV or not?
No,
basically.
No one knows.
So then when do you find out? When it airs, or?
When they say, okay, just letting you know that on, this Friday, your episode's going to air.
Oh,
Make
snap.
sure. Yeah. It's really cool.
Damn, that's crazy. I'm sure that must have been really exciting for you and like your family and friends. Like everyone was probably so freaking hyped for you. So, because you ended up getting an offer, right? But then you like turned it down, right?
Correct.
So walk us through that a bit.
Well, you go in and it's truly a investor pitch, which is great. It really is a back and forth and a dialogue. And I was made an offer that I accepted on the air. And then as per investments go, you have to go through due diligence on both sides. And in the process of due diligence, Kevin O'Leary and Round21 decided not to move forward with the deal. It was mutual. I mean, everything that I'm saying, ABC has approved me to say. And it was one of those things where for Round21, we are and have always been building with the community. So for us, it didn't prohibit us continuing to do that. The fact that we walked away, it's given us even more conviction that we want to surround the brand and the history of the brand with people that believe in our mission around making standing out the new standard, that accept people of all different backgrounds, leveraging the power and platform of sports. And that for us is through the indicator of art and choosing the art that fits your personality. And so for us, we really haven't looked back. It's been a great part of our history, the Shark Tank moment, and even this validation that one of the sharks was interested in us. But yeah, it's been one of many, thank goodness, many things that we're proud of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Damn. Okay, so I wonder how many people like say yes and then end up just it not happening. Like I feel like probably pretty high, right?
I have no idea. I definitely know they've been on air for like 16 seasons, so something's working.
Jeez, yeah.
But I definitely feel like it's kind of cool. Like Justin Kittredge from iSlide and Thomas from Grind. Like there's this little founders athletic club that have been on Shark Tank, and it's for all of us. It's been a great platform, whether we took a deal on air or not. But it definitely feels like it's a true investor process. So you just never know.
Right. Okay, we got to talk about, first of all, I'm repping right now my sports razzle. I don't know why I just showed it, as if anybody else can see. But Jasmine noticed right away. She's like, Are you wearing that on purpose? I'm like, hell yeah. I got my sports Basel Round21 shirt, which, man, I'm really bad at dates. So I definitely don't remember when this happened, but I had purple hair. I remember that. So it must have been 2 years ago.
It was December 2021.
Okay, there we go. It was 2 years ago, almost. Yep. And yeah, in Miami, you guys threw an event, which was really cool. That was a really fun event. And there was man, I don't know like where it was. I mean, I guess you can help me with the details, but I
It
just
was
remember
at
there was
LeBron's
basketball.
sneaker joint in
Okay, yes.
Wynwood.
Yes. Oh, Wynwood. Yep. Yeah. And there was like basketball hoops there and people were playing basketball. You guys had those pickleball handles. What are they called?
Ping pong paddles.
Ping pong paddles. Okay. Yes. It was just great. And it was also, I mean, you know, a bunch of my friends were there. Peter Fang and Swicky, which Peter is actually one of the co-founders of NFTBA alongside you and Josh Ong, which I also got my NFTBA jersey here. I did help MC one of the NFTBAs, and my sister has MC'd a couple of them now, but those are super cool. I have a vlog about it somewhere on my Twitter. I need to find that. Maybe I'll send it to Andy and he can link it in the show notes. But it kind of recaps what these NFTBA events are. And they're basically like these massive basketball tournaments where teams come together, and sometimes they're even projects. It'll be like Ballers, and, you know, there's a few people from Ballers like forming a team and just all this. And there's a whole, I think there was like 12 teams or something. And then, yeah, and there's a whole tournament, grand winner and everything. It was just awesome to watch because they're actually really good. Like, these people take it very seriously. It's not just some like, oh yeah, sure, I'll play in the tournament. Like, these guys are good, and gals, like, they're really good. So those are always fun to watch. But NFTBA, what inspired you to found NFTBA? And also, I'm curious on how you met Peter. He is a good friend of ours.
Yes, this is going to be a fun story. So turns out that Apes won a hoop. It's kind of not a surprise. And when we dropped the Bored Ape basketball in June, July, August, I think, of 2021, very quickly after on Twitter, whether it was, oh my gosh, The Boring Show, or, I mean, you can name how many people were talking about, okay, so when are we going to play? Because the basketball is the artifact of the game, but there was no promise that we were going to ever do Round 21 tournaments or anything. Well, turns out that there's a DM going on Twitter between Josh Ong and Peter Fang and a few others around, we should do something where we bring ape holders together to play basketball. And then you've got me talking to a different set of apes. Like, should we do something where they could bring the basketball and play, like, very innocently? And one of the people was in both DMs and was like, you know what? The rest of us should get out of the way and the three of you should talk. And I would give really the operational credit, like the fact that it actually happened, to Peter Fang. He, you know, very respectfully, we call him the mayor because he does get things done. He also has a very strong commitment to when he says something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Josh and I do too, but in a different way because it's just logistically a burden to put on a basketball tournament. Peter's like, I'll figure it out. I'll get the court. I'll get the permits. Oh, you need jerseys? I'll get the jerseys. And all of these things have like 25 steps behind them. They're not just very easy things to do. And Peter, you know, really takes that on. And then Josh for sure is the one making sure that, you know, the people know what's happening, that it's going to be something that you're going to want to be proud of. It gets the word out. And then for me, it's the product. It's making sure that we have, you know, a sense of, you know, what's the run of show? What's the programming going to be like? And all three of us play a different role. But we set out, and after that, like, Bored Ape drop in July, August, we were like, okay, we're going to ape this year, and it's going to be in October, and it's going to be in LA. And we just said it, and we made it happen. And it was at the Venice courts. It was a load of fun. Quickly, people are like, when are we doing it again? Since then, we've done New York, LA, Miami. We're thinking of other things coming up. Can't say it. But NFTBA is alive and well in the hearts and minds of the people that believe in it. And yeah, you're right. It's a recreational exhibition, 1-on-1, 3-on-3, 3-point contest kind of series of 3 hours, 4 hours. Everyone leaves having a good time. And, you know, later that night, you might be drinking and having fun with your friends or like stay out all night. But before, people are well rested, they're hydrated, they really do want to win. I think you're right. It's something that people take seriously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a serious thing. I mean, when I got there too, like, you were kind of doing some exercise drills with everybody, and you're like, okay, yeah, here's the warm-ups. And I'm like, oh, shoot, Jasmine's really taking charge on this. And yeah, it's very cool to see people being serious. It's fun as a spectator, like, and there was a lot of people. I remember the one I went to in Miami, or no, it must have been in New York. I think it was in New York.
Chinatown?
Yeah. It was the Chinatown one. That's the one that I went to and I kind of helped MC at. There started to be other people, just random people coming and collecting around and just watching because they were like, what's going on? Like, this is so exciting. And it's very exciting. It's just like you see all these people in all these matching jerseys and, they're just playing ball and there's, different courts and, different games going on. So yeah, it's definitely a whole event, which is awesome. But yeah, shout out to Peter Fang. He is amazing. He's definitely one of those people that get things done. And you're right. He's one of those guys where it's like, if he says something, he's going to do it. And yeah, he's awesome. Him and Suki are my favorite couple ever. Like, they're definitely the best power couple.
Yes.
Very inspiring. And we have to get Peter on because we've had Suki on and we have not had Peter on. I don't know why. I really need to reach out to him.
He's probably shy.
I think he'd do it, but I'm also kind of scared he'd like spill a bunch of secrets or something, like drunk stories or something. And I'm like, oh my God, Peter, please don't embarrass me. So that's why.
That's where Andy edits. So
yeah, right. Yeah. Andy, just edit all this stuff out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it would be such a short episode. Okay, so VCon is what I wanted to also talk about because I think we ran into each other at both VCons. I remember just passing you by in the elevator and I was like in a hurry going somewhere and I was like, oh my God, Jasmine. Like, I was so excited to see you. And then the last VCon, you actually had a panel on the main stage. Mm-hmm. And I remember like asking you if you were nervous and you're like, no, like I'm good. And I'm like, damn, Jasmine is just some confident person that just has all the skills. And yeah, so how did your VCon experience go? I know we didn't really talk all that much, but
yeah, I'm about to hijack this and say your first VCon, you were on the main stage, crushing it, doing an amazing job. So I think it's really cool to see your voice elevated around these like moments in the NFT space amongst so many people that are, changing and influencing how this technology will impact society. So congratulations.
Thank you.
VCon has become definitely, hopefully, one of these durable platforms for bringing people together. And it was very cool that the one in May had a combination of Web 2, Web 3, mature brands, startups, etc. And I got the privilege to have a fireside chat with Kevin Plank. He's the founder of UnderArmour. He was also my boss for 6 years at UnderArmour. So there was a bit of that. And I think, in terms of me not being nervous, I knew that I was going to be sitting across from someone that I've sat across from for many, many years. But I'm actually very excited. Yesterday, VaynerX just announced they're going to do something at Art Basel. So hopefully there are other reasons to come back together through the lens of what we do, which is art, sports, and technology. But yeah, it's been something of a highlight of this year. The reality is so many brands, whether they ever dabbled in NFTs or think of technology as AI, there is a reality that if you're not keeping up, you're falling behind. And VCon is creating a platform for the shared knowledge of those brands that kind of came before and have motivated all of us to do things, now learn from some of the upstarts that are building in the space. And I do know Kevin had a great time and so many people were able to interact with him. And he's changed the face of sports and sports apparel when there was really only Nike, Adidas, and Puma. And that legacy is intact while they start to think about the future.
Yeah, I really liked your interview with him. He definitely seems like a likable guy, which is great. And I did not know that it was really just Puma, Nike, and what did you say, Adidas?
So so Nike and Adidas and Puma were really the big three. And then in 1996, UnderArmour comes out with this tight white T-shirt that happens to keep you lighter, drier, faster. And all of a sudden, every football player is wearing it under their pads. All of a sudden, no Dick's Sporting Goods could keep them in stock. And now there's another player. And it was apparel for the longest time. And then they, entered into footwear. And Steph Curry arrived, and the rest is history.
Oh, is Curry sponsored
Curry's
by
Under Armour? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow, fun facts.
Yes,
learning a lot today from Jasmine. And also, okay, so I also wanted to circle back to Round21.
And
I need to get my facts straight here, but You guys just announced today your Keith Haring basketball collab, which is currently going for $135 on round21.com. Y'all can snatch one if they're not already sold out, actually, by the time this podcast comes out. But yeah, how did that collaboration come about? Because obviously Keith Haring passed, 20 years ago or something?
Yeah, 2030, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
how does that work?
Yeah, Round21 at our core pairs artists and athletes to create special edition products. Like that's as simple as I can describe what we do, even though we do a lot more than that. Pairing artists and athletes is a really fluid concept. Sometimes it's pairing Brittany Griner with Shema Love to reimagine the story of BG coming back from Russia as she tips off to the season. Sometimes it's expanding an artist's work on a new canvas, which is of sport, to invite new people to experience their work, which is what led us to the Keith Haring collaboration, as well as Jean-Michel Basquiat. Those two artists are just define the 80s and their generation around unapologetically reimagining how to tell stories through their art that represented who they were and how they saw the world. We engaged with the owners of the rights to their works more than a year ago, and we intentionally wanted to bring their work to a new canvas, which was sport, because we felt like two things could be accomplished. One, it's just a more conventional, accessible canvas for whether it's a kid or an adult, somebody in an urban area, suburban area, like basically to express the work on something that's more familiar, hopefully makes it more accessible. Keith Haring's entire legacy is rooted on art is for everybody, because he wanted art to be appreciated and not held in these gallery walls, which so many artists today within the NFT space are also believers in. The second reason was to put the art in people's hands, which we thought would be a very cool extension of from one's eyes connecting with art, but then to hold the art in their hands was going to be a new tactile experience. And that's why the basketball was the first product. The Basquiat basketballs for Round21 evaporated, and then the Haring balls as well are going fast. But what we're very proud of is on Monday, September 25th, we're actually dropping drop number 2 with both artists exclusively in partnership with the MoMA in New York and their design store. That is bananas. Like, we are really, really excited about that. The MoMA design team, the buyers, the team that's behind, the scenes curating the products are very open-minded, very progressive, constantly looking for new things to really reimagine how art can decorate our lives in terms of like how we curate our home. And they saw the basketball as an immediate collectible. And they have, a lot of the weight behind their marketing engine behind this drop coming on Monday. So we're very, very excited to see how it does going into the holiday.
What is the MoMA?
So it's the Museum of Modern Art in New York. I'm sure if you Google MoMA museum, it will be on any top 10 museum in the world, like the Louvre, like the Met.
Oh, wow.
And it has had a Basquiat exhibit recently. Along with actually, these products are only distributed through select distribution and museums. The Museum of Graffiti, who's actually need to get back to her, also took some units, because Keith Haring in particular has a real storied past with kind of the graffiti world and how he reimagined walls in the subways of New York as art, and often was arrested because of it. And the Museum of Graffiti does a lot, both in the NFT space, but also for graffiti artists. And so we've been really intentional about where the product should be sold. And then the MoMA is really the icing on the cake.
Okay, so basically they're sold on your guys' site or at these exclusive like IRL places.
Correct.
Essentially. Okay, got it. That makes a lot of sense. Wow. Yeah, and I love the idea of art being in your hands, like the basketball. It's like, first of all, when I was a kid, I was obviously never really into art. I don't think you really appreciate art till you're older. But I remember my sister, there was one artist she really liked, and it was Keith Haring. And I'm like, who's Keith Haring? Yeah. And so that's why I was really excited to bring this up actually because she had like a Keith Haring shirt. She would be like, oh, Jen, check out this artist. And she would like tell me about Keith Haring. And I'm like, I just was like, huh? Like, what? I don't get it. I didn't understand. But that was like the one artist she really liked. So maybe she'll pick up a basketball. She should, because she has the Bored Ape collab that you guys did. She should get a Keith Haring basketball.
She should get a Keith Haring one. And I know we're not on video, but do you want me to show you the one that's coming out with the MoMA?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That would be
this
awesome.
Is it. It's really awesome.
Ooh. Oh,
it's really
snap.
awesome.
Ooh, I like that. Oh my God. I feel bad for the listeners because they can't see, but you guys will be able to see round21.com. You'll see it on their site. So yeah, stay tuned. But oh, hell yeah. I got a freaking sneak preview, folks. Let's go. That's some alpha right there.
That's right.
I think I actually might get my sister one for Christmas because I don't know if she's going to just get it herself. So maybe you guys are here. Don't tell her, okay? Because I think I might actually do that. I probably shouldn't have said it on the show, but she doesn't listen, so it's fine.
She's busy.
Yeah, she's busy. She's, crypto stuff.
Yes.
Doesn't have time to listen to my podcast. I think I actually got through everything that I wanted to really talk about. We do have our Gas Wars segment, which typically Michael and I both ask 5 rapid fire questions each. Not having to do with NFTs, just kind of getting to know you a little bit more. But since Michael's not here, I have 10 Gas Wars questions. So we're really going to go for it here. Well, let's just get started. So we'll start with an easy one. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Both.
Really? So you stay up late and you wake up early?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Founder's journey.
Oh, man. Okay. Are you an introvert, an ambivert, or an extrovert?
I don't know what an ambivert is.
It's like a combination of both.
I think it's an ambivert because I get really tired when I'm outgoing too long, but then I'm not sitting quiet. So,
okay. Who is the most famous person you've ever met?
The Rock.
The Rock. Oh my gosh. Wow. Wait, what? You must have met The Rock through working at...
He was one of our UnderArmour athletes and I ran training. So we did like 5 shoots with him and he's very personal and very intimate. Like, hey guys, come over. Like we're eating lunch. Come on. And yeah, there were a couple of other meetings, but yeah, him and Tom Brady actually, both because of the category at UnderArmour.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
What is the worst job you've ever had?
Oh, Starbucks. I worked there for 2 weeks minus one Friday because I decided that Thursday night I was not going to go in Friday because I wanted my boss to realize I am going to be able to like add value, which was a little bit of a stretch.
How old were you? When was this?
This would have been when I was coaching during the summer when you have summers off. I was like, oh, I'll get another job. And I go to Starbucks and my boss was not. Anytime I tried to make the latte, he would take the thing from me and be like, I'll just do it. And so after 2 weeks of that, I was like, I'm out.
Dang. You weren't meant for latte art.
No, I was not meant for. I'm supply and demand. I'll drink it, but I'm not making it.
Okay. What is your dream country to visit?
Iceland. I've been there for 18 hours once on a layover. We got rerouted because of snow going to Sweden. But I've always wanted to spend like 2 weeks in Iceland.
Man, so I heard Iceland is green and Greenland is icy.
Correct.
Okay. So, because when you think of Iceland, you think maybe it's like really icy, but it's apparently really beautiful there and really green and luscious.
Exactly.
All right. What is one of your pet peeves?
Chewing with your mouth open.
Oh, chewing with your mouth open. Do not chew with your mouth open around Jasmine. Do not do it.
Do not. Please don't.
What about if it's gum? Like if they're like, chewing gum, like, okay.
Yep, same. Falls in the same category, especially on Zooms or calls. I'm like,
oh, mute. Right. Okay, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given? Or something that you kind of live by?
Oh, 2 different things. Because I got the advice that I don't adopt it. From a perspective, I think that don't sweat the small stuff is a really the rule to live by, because really the big things are what end up talking about, I guess. But in terms of business, the big moments are the ones that tend to be the most durable and long lasting. I have never been able, so the counter to that is I've never been able to live by that. In particular with Round21, we really care about customer service and we want to get back to every single person. And so although I've gotten that advice, I do believe it's true. I struggle with it because I believe the alternative is also true, which is the small stuff can sometimes make the biggest difference. So I kind of struggle with that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like the minutia.
Yes. Yes. I mean, so many people be like, you have the best community service. And I'm like, that's awesome. Can you pay us for that? You know, but it does matter. It matters in the long term. So we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I feel like that's something like Gary Vee kind of is into, because he claims that he kind of like runs his own social accounts and stuff. And like he actually replies to people's DMs. I honestly don't know if I buy that, because I don't know. If you're really doing so much, it's like, I don't know. I just know a lot of people that do not run their own socials that are really big. And so I don't know if I buy that he actually does, but yeah, he claims that that's the reason why he feels so connected to people, is because he's like able to just have these little, he actually replies to people. He cares. And in person too, he really does seem like he cares when he's talking to you. Like, it's like he gives you his full undivided attention for however, 15 seconds that you have him. So yeah, that just reminded me of that. Yeah. But okay, what was your dream job as a kid?
My dream job as a kid was to be a coach.
And you fulfilled your dream. Let's go. People don't usually say that.
No, I
did.
They
actually, yeah. I
actually thought if I couldn't coach, I would be the best janitor, where the court that I was responsible for would have the most stick, because like the sticky, player, right? So I was like, I'll be the janitor that makes the floors super sticky, and I would always bake brownies for the team every game day. Like I had that like fallback if I couldn't become a coach.
Wait, so you want the court to be, how do you make the court sticky?
So they have the brooms which get the dust, but you can't just stop there. Then you have to do a wet broom over it. And then when you step on and you like squeak your shoes, it's like the best feeling ever.
Is that why the players, like, they'll like right before they do like a free throw, they'll like with their hands touch the dirty bottoms of their shoes to wipe off
their hand, actually.
They'll lick their that's just nasty.
Yeah, it is nasty, actually.
But it's kind of like, I feel like they're really doing something there. It's probably mental a little bit.
It is. Rituals.
Okay, if you could only hold on to one NFT, which one would it be?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Wow.
I know. That's a hard.
Wow. There is a lot of sentiment with the Bored Ape. And I'm one of each. Like I got one of each. The Artifact Pro PFP that I invested in is a good one. Round21, it's like the era of us in 2021, 22. We've actually done for 3 years straight. Our personalized proof of attendance product has come to life at Coinbase events that we've been doing, like with the Knicks and the Liberty, those ones personally. So I have allegiance to our own, and then some of these other communities that honestly, I'm just like, you guys did it. You have to, or women did it. Like there shouldn't be jealousy in this space. Like there should be admiration for sustainable positions. And then there's, of course, if you ever rocked one of them as your personal identity, I mean, that's tricky. But I actually have been bouncing around a little bit. My PFP on Twitter is I made that decision, and I don't know if it will change, or if it does, it'll go back to a regular picture. It's from an artist, Hank Washington, who was our first Round21 artist ever in 2019. And his NFT project is Fuzzies, Fuzzie, Fuzzies and Co. And he's just an incredible human being. So I look to support artists when I can. Yeah,
your PFP does look really cool. And by the way, we'll have Jasmine's Twitter linked in the show notes, but this is how you spell it if you want to search her. JASMAIETTA. Search her up on Twitter and make sure you're following her. And Round21, honestly. We are Round21. That's their Twitter account. Okay, so also, did you ever rock your Bored Ape? Because I feel like you didn't.
I feel like I did, maybe for a hot second on LinkedIn when that era was happening. From a networking perspective, I was like, wow, all these people are like doing business with each other. You should know I'm here too.
Right. And why didn't you ever kind of like just have your Bored Ape be your brand on Twitter? Like, why
because
did you
we're
choose
building
it?
our brand?
Okay, that makes sense.
That's tricky. And I learned this, actually, it's less to do with NFTs, but more to do with just brand management, is who you associate with can become who you are, right? This is brand is about often the company you keep. And so I never wanted to, just because I can't control what's happening in other communities, want to have that like big, rigid allegiance. And plus we're building our own.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay, last question here. You're actually doing great with these gas war rapid fires. What is a book that's changed your life?
What got you here won't get you there. It's actually a leadership book, and I don't really think you need to read more than the title, to be honest. That's the whole point of it. But what got you here won't get you there is kind of a rule, not even
by Marshall Goldsmith.
Yeah. It's just an insight that is very healthy in life to keep you growing. And even like, I'm sure I'm not a parent, but I'm sure even parents like, well, kid doesn't respond to like that anymore. Like it's this constant expectation of reinvention, and also growth, and never assuming you know everything, because there's like a whole other like introvert, ambivert, extrovert. So yeah, that's the one.
Okay, great. Sweet. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do really enjoy reading books, so I like asking that question. Last time, for the last interview we did, bored Elon Musk. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
But he recommended The Medici Effect.
Oh, yeah. I got that at Reebok. They gave it to everybody at Reebok.
To read? Oh, shoot.
Yep.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
Yep.
Wow, that ties in really well. Yeah, and I just was on someone's show yesterday, and I was actually talking about how, because he gave a little summary of it, and he was saying like how if you have it to be creative, like all the great creatives in the world, they don't just like nowadays everyone's like, oh, stick to your one thing and be really good at your one thing. And the great creatives were good at many things, and they had many interests, and they kind of just tied their interests together, and that's how they were able to be creative. And that was like, whoa, like that's really cool. I really like that a lot. Because I always feel like I've had my hands in multiple pots, and I'm like, is this bad? You know, is it good? Like, I don't know. Do I judge this? And now I kind of feel some type of validation, like, yes, okay, it's a good thing to have different interests. So
that's a good one. That's a really good one. You just did that off in my memory bank too. That was good.
Yeah, I know that's actually so crazy too. Like, man, the stars are aligning that you're like, oh yeah, at Reebok, they made us all read that book.
Yep.
That's incredible. Okay, so yeah, that's all I actually have for you, Jasmine, for today. This was a really great interview. I really appreciate you for finally coming on the show. It's been a long time coming, but I'm really happy you came on. Thank you for sharing your insight.
Keep going. You're doing an awesome job. Your voice is like one of those that people look forward to. Can't wait to see where our paths cross next. And just keep your eye out for Monday.
Yes. Okay. Yes, definitely, guys. Keep your eye out. Round21. And Jasmine, thank you. You always like give such nice compliments to me, which I always like. I'm just like, oh, it's so nice. Like, you're just always so nice. So thank you.
Really easy.
But yeah, thank you all for tuning into this episode of the NFT Catcher podcast, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_Pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.